Hey everyone. So I think every Canadian around the world was hoping for a different outcome last night. We wanted the W, but hey, that game was insane to watch either way. I'm going to take the high road here and congratulate the LA Dodgers for winning the World Series. It was really one of the most nail-biting World Series matchup I've seen in a very long time. And this play right here could have completely flipped the outcome. Either way, congrats to the Dodgers. And even though the Jays didn't pull it off, it was still an entertaining season, and I'm proud of how far they pushed it. So in today's video, I'm going to cover another article that a bunch of you have sent me, and it dives into how badly the US tourism sector is struggling without the Canadian visitors. Hotels, restaurants, and airports, they're all starting to feel the strain. And yeah, not much sympathy from my end. I also have a CBC interview I want to show you. It's with a Canadian snowbird who explains firsthand why he decided not to head south this winter. We've been seeing your comments in my videos, but it's also nice to hear someone say it on national radio. Today's backdrop comes from Charles, who lives across the pond in the UK. He sent the shot from Whitby in North Yorkshire. Appreciate you sending this over, Charles. And hey, hopefully more Canadians start to choose the UK over the US for travels. And speaking of the UK, one of our UK viewers sent me this photo he took while he was out on a walk. He doesn't know the neighbor who put up the Canadian flag, so it could be a Canadian living overseas, or it might be a dual citizen showing off a bit of pride. Either way, it shows that Canadians really do have support from all over the world. All right, let's get started on the first report.
Jeff Freeman is the president and the CEO of U.S. Travel. We have seen this to be the outsized impact of whatever tensions are going between countries. We've seen a decline in some of the other inbound travel, Jeff, but it's been really marked from Canada. Why do you think that is?
Tessa, it's good to be with you again. There's no doubt that Canada has been the largest source of the decline in travel to the United States. We're down 23% year over year on Canadian visitation. And the situation is different. It's different with Canada than it is in Europe and elsewhere. There are other markets with whom we're having trade negotiations. Japan and the UK stand out, where we've seen an increase in travel. But with the Canadians, it's become personal, I think, particularly on their end, and we're paying a price for that. And obviously, if we want to see a rebound in this travel, we've got to get this trade negotiation put behind us.
So his comments pretty much tell me he doesn't get why we're pissed off. He actually thinks that if we just fix the trade issue, their tourism collapse will magically go away. I don't know about you guys, but even if the tariffs disappeared tomorrow, even if both sides call it a win, which we all know there's no such thing as a win-win with Trump, but even then, I still wouldn't go across the border again. It just blows my mind how people can make that blind assumption. Fix trade and the Canadians will come back. Like, has this guy ever talked to a regular Canadian? Someone who used to vacation in the country, cross the border for weekends, gas runs, shopping? I'm guessing he hasn't. If I know my audience well, most of you aren't dropping this boycott just because trade got sorted out. It's way deeper than that.
As fast as possible, or we've got to focus on how we goose the numbers from Europe and elsewhere around the world, and that's something we look forward to working with the administration on.
Okay, one thing we're showing the hotel stocks. One thing that we've heard from Marriott and Hilton and others is that whatever hit they took to inbound Canadian travel to the U.S., they've picked it up because those Canadian people are still traveling. They're just going to maybe a Marriott or a Hilton in the Caribbean or in Mexico or elsewhere.
Okay, she brings up a good point. Big US brands like Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt are still cashing in on Canadians, just not in the United States. We skip their hotels down south, but a lot of us are still lining their pockets when we travel elsewhere. So don't book the Marriott, Hilton, or the Hyatt, even if you're in Europe, the Caribbean, Mexico, or Asia. Pick an IHG hotel or even a Accor. Better yet, choose a local hotel or independent place in whichever country you're visiting. If we really want the US hotel chains to feel it, we've got to hit them where they earn the most, globally, not just at home.
In the United States, 60% of our hotels are small businesses that likely don't have the hedge of having another property overseas to accept that business. What other factors are going into shoring up or helping these travel and leisure reliant businesses? Because they've spent a tough summer. If you ask people in Lake Placid, coastal Maine, Door County, Wisconsin, they've really taken it on the chin.
Well, and we're looking perhaps at a tough fall and winter if these Canadian visitors aren't going to Florida, Texas, and other places in the United States that they typically go during that time of the year. I've heard the same thing you have from hotel leaders who have benefited with Canadians staying home and traveling more in Canada. In the U.S., they've filled that void with more Americans traveling. There has been a little bit of an increase in domestic travel, particularly at the affluent end of the market. They've been able to fill that void there. We've filled it with some of the increase we've seen in aspects of Europe, but there's no doubt the industry is feeling the strain of the decline in Canadian visitation, and that strain is growing. We've got to get this issue resolved. We know it's a priority for the administration, but we've got to get this.
That's bullshit. Tourism isn't even close to a priority for this administration. Their focus? That ridiculous White House ballroom, arresting innocent people, including their own citizens, and doing everything possible to divide their own country even more. So come on, man, just tell the truth.
Issue resolved. Canadians are our number one travel partners. These are the most important visitors to the United States, spending about $2,000 per person per trip. We've got to get this situation resolved quickly.
Okay, there are other factors at play here. We've got FIFA World Cup coming up. It's a huge opportunity for U.S. travel businesses and hotels and restaurants and the like. You have the Olympics shortly after that. And yet the United States has hiked its visa times. There are long visa wait times. A government shutdown doesn't help. Right now, you've got questions about staffing at TSA. They're still showing up to work, but they don't want to work extra shifts. Is there going to be a slowdown as this thing continues? And then the airport infrastructure. I mean, Newark is a nightmare right now because of the construction that's going on there. Of these, which do you think are capable of being tackled before these big travel events happen, about soccer and Olympics?
A couple of comments there. We certainly see with airport construction, there can be downtimes. We've also seen the positive results at LaGuardia, and I know we're going to see those results at Newark as well. And credit to Secretary Duffy, the Transportation Department, particularly United Airlines. The improvements that have taken place at Newark have been great to see, but we've got a lot of work to do. If we are going to see a 20+% decline in Canadian travel, we've got to ask ourselves, where do we make that up? We're not going to make that up with long visa wait times, with new fees on travelers that want to come here, which is something Congress recently did. We've got to, I think, really go back to the drawing board and ask, how do we make the United States more competitive?
Well, I can answer that question for you. You get rid of your president and the entire administration that's causing all of this. No new plan or back to the drawing board idea is going to fix it. You can't rely on the international tourists to cover the losses of the Canadians, because they're just as pissed off as we are. And not once yet have you mentioned CBP or ICE. Not once did you talk about their profiling or how agents are still targeting people because of their skin color, because they don't fit the preferred look. Until that is fixed, neither Canadians nor international tourists are going to help your economy recover. If I sound a bit fired up today, it's because I am. This report is really getting under my skin for some reason. Maybe I've just hit a point in my channel where I'm done with the gaslighting, done with watching them ignore the real reasons behind their problems, and done hearing excuses from people who never listened to those boycotting their country. But on the bright side, it only made my boycott stronger. So let me know in the comments if you feel the same way.
Overseas travelers to the United States are spending more than $4,000 per person per visit. If we do the World Cup right, we've got an opportunity to attract an incremental 8 million visitors next summer, but we only do that with the right type of focus. The administration's taken some important steps. You see TSA, you no longer have to take your shoes off. There are efforts underway to keep liquids in your containers when you go through, perhaps a pre-check. They've taken some important steps, but we've got a lot more work to do if we're going to make the U.S. more competitive right now. This year, the U.S. will be the only major nation that sees a decline in foreign trade.
And I hope that decline keeps going, seriously, because trying to sidestep the real issue will never fix the actual problem. But hey, at least you don't need to take your shoes off anymore, right? I guess that counts as progress in his world. I don't have much else to say about this report, except the level of denial here is unreal. Let's move on to the next report. This one actually puts me in a way better mood, and I'm sure it will for you guys as well.
So I know when we first talked, you shared what a difficult decision this was to sell your home in Florida. Tell me a little bit more about why you're choosing not to return to the States this winter.
Well, we're choosing not to return to the States due to the fact that we're essentially in, I guess you would call it an economic war with the U.S., and we just chose to spend our money in Canada as Canadians rather than give it to a regime that we don't necessarily agree with at all.
Have you wavered since we talked in April? I mean, now it was a hard decision as you explained, but now we're getting into those winter months.
Yeah, It's still a hard decision. It still was a hard decision. We have a lot of friends down in the U.S., and we are very sorry not to be able to see them this winter, but they understand due to the circumstances, and we're going to be returning to our roots and wintering in Canada.
I'm really glad to hear this from one of our Canadian snowbirds, someone who decided to stay in Canada this year and keep his money at home. He made a point that actually reminded me of an email conversation I had with one of our viewers. He said he feels bad that he won't get to see his friends in the United States this year, but they understand. The key word is, they understand. Now, in the email that I got, the situation was a bit different. That viewer chose to stay home, but their friends in Florida didn't take it the same way. They couldn't understand why they weren't coming back, and they brushed off the whole thing as being overblown, and Canadians being emotional. And that's when my viewer realized those friends that they had in Florida weren't as good friends as they thought. Sometimes it takes a situation like this to see people's true colors. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because the caller's story shows the opposite. Their friends in the US actually get it, and that tells me they got some good friends down there. Now I'm going to fast forward on this interview, but if you want to listen to the whole thing, I'll leave a link in the description below.
What do you think about the registration requirement, as I mentioned, for foreign travelers? Have you heard about people that have gone through this then, being fingerprinted, for example?
I've heard just a couple of stories about that. I haven't, gone the lengths to actually confirm those, but I'm guessing that it's in place at some of the crossings, and I've been told it's at the discretion of some of the border guards as well. So I don't really understand why they would be insisting on that, but I guess it's their prerogative to do so.
It's one thing to sell your home. I mean, obviously that's the big decision, but I'm curious whether or not you're even traveling to the States right now.
No. We like I say, our money stays in Canada. It stays primarily in Manitoba or in Ontario.
I'm really glad to hear this, seriously. And Brian Jameson, if you're listening or watching my channel, well done. I'd love to get in touch with you sometime in the future. I know there are hundreds of Canadian snowbirds watching right now, and once I start up my interviews again, I'd love to hear from you guys to talk about your new plans for this upcoming snowbird season. Whether you're staying home or trying somewhere new, I would love to hear your feedback.
What have you heard from, if anything, from other Canadian snowbirds about their plan this winter? Have other folks sold or been still considering selling maybe?
Yes, there are friends of ours that are considering selling, and I feel very bad for them because they had just bought recently. And there are friends. There was a lot of friends from our park where we were in Florida who have sold, and the park has there is essentially very few Canadians, I believe, left in that park.
What was the process like about selling your home? Did it go quickly, or how did that work for you?
No, it didn't go quickly. Essentially everybody was taking quite a loss on it. At the time, the park was under new ownership, and the rents increased by maybe just over 100% in the space of 3 years' time.
Wow. Okay.
So that angered a lot of people, including our American friends too. So that's when the sales started, and then after the election in the U.S. last November, that kind of put the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And we practically, to a person, Canadians, decided to sell and leave.
If you ever start worrying that the boycott's slowing down, or that there's still a ton of snowbirds heading south, don't buy into what you're hearing from the US media. Listen to the snowbirds themselves. This guy said that most Canadians in his park have already packed up, sold, and moved on. And that tells me way more than anything that comes from CBS, ABC, Fox, or any other news network trying to spin it differently. This right here is the kind of news and real facts I want to share on my channel. And side note, I'm way happier editing this video compared to the last one.
Can you imagine a day? I just want to interject here because I'm just curious. Can you imagine a day when you might go back to the U.S.? Like you
Yeah.
talked about your convictions, so I'm just wondering what it would take for you to feel comfortable going back to that country.
Well, it would take a change in the government, and it would take a change in their policies towards Canada. So,
Brian, thank you very much. I hope you land somewhere warm, if not for a property for a visit this winter. Appreciate having you on again.
okay. Oh yes, we are going up to like Elkhorn Resort in Clear Lake in the like in Clear Lake.
All right. Manitoba made getaway. Everyone's supporting those.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing.
You take care. Thank you.
Okay.
So, like many of us, Brian's not going back unless there's a real huge change in the government and policy, although some of us may never go back again. I wanted to share this because it's more reassurance for everyone watching that there are snowbirds who have said they're done with the US, and it's not a small number. You can see it right here in my comments. Hundreds of you have already sold your homes in Florida, Arizona, California, and everywhere else. Your community might still be small compared to others, but it's a strong, like-minded group. And I know there are thousands more out there who feel the exact same way. They just haven't found my channel yet. I also get a lot of emails from you guys sharing your stories with me about moving back to Canada. And even though I can't share those stories for privacy reasons, I can tell you, from everything that I've read, Snowbird season is going to be an absolute bust for the United States. If you found this video helpful, hit the like and subscribe button to help spread this message to more people, and share it with your friends as well. And if you're still here and you want to see my other videos, or maybe listen for cats, check out the ones that are popping up on your screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.